The outdoor griddle is a hot commodity in the outdoor cooking space, and it's time to determine who makes the best 36-inch griddle. We put 8 different brands to the test, and this is going to be fun. For the last few decades, the average American backyard would be home to a single cooking appliance in the form of a propane grill, but things are quickly changing. The propane griddle, or flat top grill, has been taking market share from standard gas grills for many years now, and the market is flooded with options vying for your hard-earned money. Now, how do you know which griddle is for you? Well, that's where we come in. Here's how this testing works. This is not a sponsored video. None of the manufacturers of the griddles in this video have paid us to be a part of this video. We reached out to griddle manufacturers and told them that we were putting together a griddle head-to-head video and asked if they had a sample unit they wanted to be included. There's no cost to anyone to be involved. We just can't include their griddle if we don't have it on hand for testing. So the units you see here have been provided by the manufacturers. There's no promise of what we'll say or what we'll cover, just that this is going to be an in-depth video comparing their griddle to the competition in a series of tests we devised. In the case where a manufacturer had multiple flat top units that fit the around 30 to 36 inch criteria, they made the decision on which unit to include themselves. Now, our goal is to present you with the facts and let the impartial data speak for itself. So let's take a look at the contenders. We have the Blackstone 36-inch griddle with air fryers and cabinets, the Grill's Primate gas grill and griddle, the Halo Elite 4B griddle, the Traeger Flat Rock, the Loco 36-inch Series 2 3-burner griddle, the Pit Boss 3-burner Ultimate Liftoff griddle, the Camp Chef Flat Top 600, and the Weber 36-inch griddle. Now, these griddles range in price from $579 to $1,299, but they're all around that 36-inch size, and that's what we're comparing today. Now, 6 of these griddles are brand new and just out of the box. The Traeger Flat Rock we've been using here around the lab for the last 5 months, and the Pit Boss Ultimate Liftoff unit we've put through heavy use for the last year. The Pit Boss and the Traeger have been trailered, thrown into the back of the truck for events, and driven all across the Midwest, so they're not brand new like the rest, but we think they're still up to the challenge. We tested the mobility of these griddles, and the Camp Chef is the only unit with 2 wheels and 2 legs. This unit is more difficult to move than the others since you have to lift half of it off the ground in order to move it. Now, the easiest to move through the grass in the backyard to get to the patio were the Loco and the Halo. The Loco has 4 oversized wheels with 2 that swivel and lock. Halo has 4 swivel casters with 2 that lock, but they're all larger rollerblade style wheels that can handle the longer grass and uneven surfaces. Now, the others in this test were fine when moving across smooth concrete, but when moved to the grass to get from the garage to the patio, they struggled with smaller wheels all around. Now, the fuel source of all 8 griddles in our test is propane gas. The question does come up often if any of them can be converted to natural gas, and both the Grill Primate and the Camp Chef 600 are natural gas compatible. The Weber and the Camp Chef don't need anything other than a propane tank to operate. They're the old style turn and click to light burner knobs, and they don't need batteries or electricity. The Traeger, Blackstone, and the Loco, all 3 have an electrical cord to plug into power. In a pinch, the Traeger and Blackstone can be lit using the battery power option, but certain features will not be available if not plugged in. The only unit to our knowledge that won't operate without being plugged into AC power is the Loco griddle. Since the knobs are digital and you're choosing a specific temperature instead of a high, medium, or low dial setting, AC power is required for use. Now, for those who want a griddle for the back deck or patio, as well as one to take on the go, 2 of these units are advertised as portable. The Pit Boss Ultimate Liftoff series has a 2-latch system to detach the griddle from the cart stand, and it simply lifts off to take on the go. It's so easy to take with you, it's been our go-to for church events and get-togethers with friends for the past year. Now the Halo 4-burner griddle is also advertised as portable, and it's just 4 thumb screws to separate the griddle from the cart. Now the Halo is larger than the Pit Boss and significantly heavier, but it still separates easy enough that I would agree that it's plenty portable, albeit heavy in comparison. If you're thinking about an outdoor kitchen build, the natural question is if any of these can be built in without the stand in a more permanent setup. The Grilla Grill's Primate is offered as a part of their outdoor kitchen series, so that unit is a natural fit. Since the Pit Boss and Halo are also designed to be lifted off and set on a table to be used as a portable, they would work as well. Now the others are full cart models, so unless you're building in the full cart, I wouldn't count on those being able to be dropped into an outdoor kitchen build. Now the Griddle Surface is the star of the show here, and while they are similar, let's talk about the differences. The Pit Boss is the obvious standout here. With an enameled surface, it's the only griddle not made of cold rolled steel that I'm aware of. The enamel makes things easy to slide around while cooking, keeping sticking to a minimum. Now when it's important to let things stick like a Smashburger, it'll be interesting to see how the Pit Boss performs with such a slick top. The cooking height of the griddle is also important to note here, and this graph shows the height of the lip you have to get over to gain access to the griddle top. For those on the shorter side, just know that a few of these griddles are rather tall, and a shorter cooking surface might be a better fit. Now, as much as the griddle itself matters, most of us are more interested in how much we can fit on the griddle at the same time. Now here's a graph that ranks the largest griddle surfaces to the smallest in our tests. The Blackstone griddle was the largest, with the Weber and Loco cookers coming in a close second and third. The smallest of the group was the Grilla Grills at 490 square inches, and the Pit Boss a bit larger, coming in at 536 square inches. Now stick with us, and in just a bit we'll show you a cook on each griddle where you can see exactly how much room is available on each one. Underneath the griddle surface, it's the burners that are providing the heat to bring our dishes to life. These are 3 and 4 burner models, and the 3 burners are the Pit Boss, the Traeger, and the Loco cookers. We have 4 burner units in the Weber, Camp Chef, the Halo, Grilla Grills, and the Blackstone. Now the power of the burners is worth noting, and here's a chart of the BTUs that each griddle brings to the cook. The Pit Boss has the lowest heating capability of the group, followed by the Traeger and the Loco cooker. Now with 60,000 BTUs of power, the Blackstone, Weber, and the Grilla Grills bring the most heat to the party. Now one of the standout features that this group of griddles brings is defined heat zones. The Traeger Flat Rock has baffle plates between the burners to separate the griddle top and give more control to each section of the griddle. The Loco griddle has the same style of baffle plates between the burners, so you'll get more control here as well per segment. Now the only notable difference between the 2 brands of baffle plates is that the Traeger plates are solid while the Loco plates have holes in the top. Most griddle tops are made of cold rolled steel and need seasoned before cooking on them. In this testing group, the Camp Chef griddle came seasoned right out of the box and was ready to cook on. The Pit Boss enameled top was also ready to cook on, since the enamel coating doesn't need to be seasoned. The rest of our group needed layers of seasoning to be applied, and that's accomplished by heating the griddle to high and applying thin coats of vegetable oil or seasoning that you can purchase from a few of the manufacturers. This process is pretty simple, but it can take about an hour per griddle. The Blackstone didn't want to take a seasoning around the outside of the griddle. We added a single coat of Blackstone seasoning, spread it around the griddle top with a paper towel, and let that burn off until it stopped smoking. We repeated this process 5 times, and here's what the top looked like when we finished the 5th round. The Traeger Flat Rock and the Halo Elite both shredded the paper towels we were using to spread the seasoning oils around. Even when switching to a towel on the Traeger, the towel left behind lint as well. Now this just told me that some of these griddle surfaces are smoother than others. Now when I'm using a griddle on a weeknight, I want to fire it up and be cooking in about 5 minutes. We set the target temperature of this test to 400 degrees, fired up each griddle on high, and used our ThermalWorks big and loud timer to keep track of how long it took us to get to 400. The ThermalWorks IR gun is an infrared thermometer that we use to measure griddle surfaces and things like our pizza stone and oven temperature, and it's fantastic. If you're getting yourself a griddle or buying a gift for someone who already has a griddle, this IR gun is a great present. Now, the griddle that took the longest to come to temperature was the Camp Chef unit at 8 minutes and 47 seconds to reach 400 degrees across the griddle. The quickest to 400 degrees was the Pit Boss at 5.5 minutes, followed by the Grill at 5 minutes and 40 seconds, and the Blackstone at 5 minutes and 48 seconds. In our tests, 7 of the 8 griddles were able to hit 400 degrees in under 6.5 minutes. That's weeknight dinner numbers for me. Time to temperature, BTUs, heat zones, and more are all fine and good, but here's a test designed to check the evenness of the griddle heat. On most grills, we'll do the biscuit test where we pop open a can of biscuits and let them cook across the grate to show hot spots. But on a griddle, bread is a great indicator of where the heat is coming from. We set each griddle to 350 degrees as measured by our ThermalWorks infrared gun, then covered the entire griddle surface with white bread from our local bakery outlet. We set the big and loud timer to 5 minutes and sat back to smell the toast. At the 5-minute mark, here's how the toast on each griddle looked. Starting with the Loco, Weber, Grilla Grills, and Halo griddles, and then the Blackstone, Traeger, Camp Chef, and the Pit Boss. For Melissa and I, the two that showed the best coverage out of the group were the Traeger and Weber griddles. It was too close to call for us, and we disagreed which was number one, so we're going to call this one a tie for Weber and Traeger. Now, we're based in the Midwest, and it's rare that we're cooking without wind as a part of the equation. It's been annoying to me that some griddles have a hard time functioning in the wind, so we wanted to test these 8 griddles with an artificial wind test to see how they fared. We picked up an Amazon Basics fan that we could set to the perfect height of the side of the griddle and set it to medium-low. For the griddle temperature, we used our IR gun to set the griddle top to 400 degrees in the middle and let the bacon cook until it was ready to turn over. Now, here's what we saw from each griddle after we turned the bacon. Here's the Traeger, Halo, Camp Chef, and the Pit Boss. And here's the Grilla Grills, Weber, Blackstone, and the Loco cookers. The 3 griddles that resisted the wind the best of the group were the Traeger Flat Rock, with just a minute difference in the length of the bacon, but same color all across. The Grilla Grills Primate, with almost zero noticeable difference between pieces, and the Halo Elite 4B, where you can't tell the difference between the left side where the fan was from the right side with no wind. Now, if you live in an area where wind is a common factor in your outdoor cooking, these 3 grills came out on top for us in resisting a good wind. Now, if you've ever cooked on a griddle, you know that grease management is important. After our bacon cook and wind test, we needed to manage the bacon grease left from a pound of bacon, and here's how each of those griddles handled drippings and grease. The Blackstone and the Halo have a slot in the back of the griddle that collects grease in a bucket. It's easy to direct grease towards the back, and it falls into the bucket below for easy cleanup. Now, there's no cover for the Blackstone grease bucket, but the Halo comes with a top cover in case of rain, which I appreciate. The Camp Chef has a channel that runs across the entire front of the griddle to manage grease, and a hole on the far left of the channel that drops grease into an aluminum pan. There's no cover for this grease pan, so if you leave it out in the rain, there's a good chance that it will fill up and distribute greasy rainwater all over your patio if you don't empty it in time. If you want to fold the side shelves on this unit, you'll need to remove the grease tray as well. The Grilla Grills has an oblong grease hole in the front left of the griddle top, and it empties into a grease tray located under the left shelf. The shelf provides cover in case of rain and has kept the dog out so far. The Loco griddle has the smallest hole in the flat top out of the group to funnel grease through, but it's also the hardest to lose food with as well. In general, the larger the hole for grease management, the more food can get lost during a cook, so this is easier to cook with. As a trade-off, it's also hardest to clean all the grease though. All of the drippings end up in a cup with a handle that sits inside the grill body, so the Loco cooker is set up to be rainproof as long as you leave the top cover down. The Pit Boss has a slot on the front left of the grill as well, and a square cup underneath the griddle to catch the drippings. It's relatively rainproof, and the only challenge we've had was when we decided to move the griddle through the grass with a full grease cup and made a mess of things. Just a reminder to always clean your grease catch before moving your grill. You can thank me later. Weber has an oval-shaped grease hole on the left side of the griddle and a front-facing drawer to catch the drippings. I like that it's recessed under the top and resists rain, as well as the aluminum replaceable trays for each disposal. The Traeger Flat Rock has an oblong grease hole in the middle of the front of the griddle, and it's a good size and easy to work with when cleaning the Flat Rock. The trade-off is potentially losing some of the food that you're cooking towards the front of the griddle. Now, the grease cup is massive on the Traeger and is one of my favorite features. It resists the rain by being completely underneath the griddle, and the replaceable aluminum grease buckets are the same size they use on their pellet grills, which are just massive. Completely loving the way that Traeger has thought about the grease system on the Flat Rock. Now, I mentioned that the Camp Chef grease tray has to come off if you want to fold the shelves down, but not all the models in this group have foldable shelves. The Weber 36-inch and the Grilla Primate both have fixed shelves that do not fold. They're fixed in place and they're both very sturdy. The other 6 griddles all have folding shelves that can drastically reduce the footprint of the griddle that you have on your patio if space is an issue. Now, my favorite shelves in the testing group have to be the Traeger Flat Rock shelves, simply because they are just plain huge. They're the largest of the group at 22.5 inches deep by 18 inches wide. There's the Traeger pop and lock system to customize accessories all around the griddle, but we don't have any of those to show you, but I love the idea of it. Now, these shelves also completely fold down for storage, so it's the total package. Now, here's a graph of the dimensions of all of the shelves in the 8 griddles in our comparison. Traeger has the biggest, followed by Loco in a close second place. Now, testing the individual qualities of a griddle is all fine and good, but the true test is how all of these things work together to help us cook a full meal for our families. Griddle cooking happens so quickly, it's important to have the prep space for everything that we need. Now, sometimes we need the ability to cook different foods at different temperatures. So our final test of these griddles was cooking a full meal of chicken fajitas. We set up each griddle with 3 different heat zones, veggies cooking at high heat, chicken cooking at medium heat, and tortillas warming over low heat. We set all of the raw ingredients on one shelf and held dishes waiting for the cooked food on the other. So here you can see that the Traeger, the Loco, Halo, and the Weber all managed to hold everything we needed just fine. The Blackstone, Grilla Grill, Camp Chef, and Pit Boss, they have smaller shelves, and we had to be a bit creative in how we fit everything. In this test, every griddle cooked the exact same amount of veggies and chicken. So here's what the griddles look like for the Traeger, Loco, Halo, and Weber when the fajitas were done. And here's a look at the Blackstone, Grilla Grills, Camp Chef, and Pit Boss at the finish as well. Overall, all 8 griddles could handle fajitas for a family of 4 without any trouble. If you take the warming of the tortillas out of the equation, there's plenty of room on all of these griddles to cook for 10 or more people, warming tortillas after the meat and veggies come off the griddle. Now, it's not always a full meal that we're prepping on the griddle though, and one of the things I wanted to know was what kind of a sear these griddles could put on a Smashburger. I picked up some grass-fed 80/20 beef and made 2 3-ounce patties for each griddle. I set the griddles to 500 degrees and smashed burgers on each one. After the smash, I set our big and loud timer to a 60-second countdown, and here's how things looked after the flip on the Blackstone, Grilla Grills, Camp Chef, and Pit Boss griddles. And here's how they looked on the Traeger, Loco, Halo, and Weber griddles when we flipped to side 2. Now, overall, every one of these griddles can sear a Smashburger. The only real standout for me was the Pit Boss enameled surface for not getting the same stick on the burger, that Maillard reaction where Smashburgers get their glorious crust. On the Pit Boss, it wasn't the same sear as the cold rolled steel griddle tops, but that doesn't mean it was bad. It just means that it was different with the enameled top, and it's worth noting. Now, many of these grills have some bells and whistles that we haven't covered, so before we dive into who performed the best in our testing, let's cover some features. The Grill Primate is a full gas grill and a full gas griddle. The grates for the grill come in the box as well as a full griddle top, so this truly is the combo grill out of the bunch. There's even an option to have 2/3 of the surface as a griddle and 1/3 as a grill if that's what you'd like. Now the Camp Chef griddle comes with a bottle opener attached to the front and a towel rack on the side. The Weber griddle has some tool hooks on the shelves that we use during testing that I like quite a bit. And the Pit Boss griddle has a trash bag holder and a bottle opener that set it apart. The real differentiator for the Pit Boss is the lift-off griddle system, making it so you can use it on the stand at home or on a picnic table at the park with the flick of 2 latches. The Loco cooker has a paper towel holder and a trash bag holder that slides out from under the shelf whenever you need it. The Traeger Flat Rock has a propane sensor that measures how much propane is in your tank when it's full, and then weighs the tank as you use it to let you know how much propane you have left before you run out. We haven't been able to get this function to work with the Flat Rock we have here at the lab, but I like the idea. It could be user error, but after working with customer support a few times, we haven't had any luck with the propane sensor. The Halo Elite 4B has a ton of additional features, starting with magnetic side shelves that hold your tools in place without needing tool hooks. It's a neat feature that we used during our testing, and these magnets are strong enough to hold any of the Halo tools that we had here on site. There's also a level built into the left front of the griddle that you can use to level out your Elite series before you light it up. Super handy, especially if you're taking it on the go and need to make sure that your oil and eggs won't run away from you. There's a magnetic wrench that you can use to level out the wheels on the cart, and this is helpful if you want to add a subtle backwards lean to encourage grease and oil to run back towards the grease bucket while you're cooking. Now I love that it's magnetic, and I just keep it on the frame of the grill stand. There's also a warming rack attached to the griddle lid, and it's the only one in this testing group to have that feature. The Blackstone griddle is the feature king though, since this unit isn't just a griddle. It also features 2 air fryer drawers and a warming drawer built into the cabinet. There's a separate burner for the air fryers, so they operate separately from the griddle burners, and they're controlled by this knob and switch on the front. If you want crispy hash brown rounds with your breakfast or French fries with your lunch, this is the unit to tackle your entire meal out on the patio. The Blackstone also comes with a paper towel arm and a trash bag holder to keep the mess contained when you're multitasking your next meal. There's a cutting board built into the right side shelf that you can lift and move wherever you're working, and tool hooks on the side shelves for the myriad of accessory tools that Blackstone offers. Now 3 manufacturers back up their product with a 5-year warranty, and those are Traeger, Weber, and Halo. Grilla Grills has a 4-year warranty on the Primate, Pit Boss has a 2-year warranty on the Ultimate Liftoff series, and Blackstone, Camp Chef, and Loco come with a 1-year standard warranty. Okay, so we've walked you through 8 griddles in our extensive testing, but before we give you our conclusion, let me just throw an extra option into the mix. If you're at a place where you're planning to invest in building an outdoor kitchen, outside of maybe the Grilla Grills Primate, the other 7 griddles aren't really going to be what you're looking for. I would highly recommend taking a look at the La Griddle. It is considerably more expensive than all 8 of these options, but it is built to last, and in an outdoor kitchen build, you want equipment that will last a long time. We've been using our 2-burner La Griddle for about 3 years now, and love it just as much today as we did day 1. The stainless steel griddle surface is easy to cook on and easy to clean, plus we have never once had an issue with rust. So if you like the finer things in life and can swing the price tag, you won't be disappointed with the La Griddle, and it's available in 1, 2, 3, and 4 burner options. And if you're interested in the griddle and don't have an outdoor kitchen, it's also available with a cart as well. Now, after all of the testing of these 8 griddles, here are my closing thoughts on each one. The Blackstone 36-inch griddle with air fryers has all the bells and whistles. Having 2 air fryers and a warming drawer really sets this griddle apart from the competition by adding more cooking options than anyone else. The downside that I found with this Blackstone in particular was that the corners and the edges had a hard time accepting the seasoning. The bread test showed this as well, and there's a definitive hot spot in the center in our tests. Now the Camp Chef Flat Top 600 is almost the polar opposite of the Blackstone. It's a no frills, just the basics please griddle with a price tag to match. With the Blackstone coming in as the most expensive in our testing group, the Camp Chef is the second least expensive with a $700 price difference between the two. The lid on the Camp Chef has given me problems since we installed it, and I admit it drives Melissa and I crazy with how wonky it feels when we're using it. Now, as a griddle, it works well, but for me, it's missing the refinement that many other griddles in this testing group have really nailed. The Pit Boss 3-burner Ultimate Liftoff Griddle is a champ if you're wanting a single griddle for the back patio and for on the go. It's super easy to disconnect the griddle from the stand and throw it in the back of the truck. I wish the cart felt more sturdy, and the top is starting to show signs of the ceramic coating wearing a bit after a year of use. To make it easy to lift off, the shelves are also very low in comparison to all of the other griddles here. That's worth noting if this is the griddle that you're looking into. The Weber 36-inch griddle was an absolute surprise for me. I saw the price point as the least expensive griddle in the group and looked at the lack of features and assumed this would be a challenge for me, but it was quite the contrary. I really like this Weber griddle. It's an absolutely huge cooking surface, second only to the Blackstone, which is over $700 more. Bang for your buck, it's hard to beat this Weber griddle with the most cooking space for the cheapest price in the test. Now sure, it would be nice if the shelves would fold, or if the burners were better in the wind, or if the wheels were better in the grass. But for the price, I'm quite happy with the Weber 36-inch griddle. The Grilla Grills Primate is easily the dual threat winner in this group by being both a full gas grill and a full gas griddle in only one box. It's also the only fully stainless steel unit in the group, so this is one that I don't worry about being outside when it rains. Now the griddle isn't as deep as some of the other brands, so there's less square cooking area, but you're getting a true combo grill and griddle with the Primate. It handles the wind without any trouble, and the double-walled lid is another standout in this test. If room on the deck or the patio is tight, this is the one griddle that can replace your grill as well, and it's a good one. The Loco Cooker really stands out in this group because it's the only white griddle I've ever seen. It shows dirt more than the others in the group, but that's about the only bad thing I have to say about it. The digital readout temperatures on the knobs is a complete game changer. No guessing if you have the griddle top at the right temp, just set it and let the griddle maintain temperature for you. Now you'll hear the griddle click on and off while in use as it precisely controls temperature. The oversized wheels make it easy to get from the garage to the patio, and it's just cool to have a griddle that's not the standard black color. The Halo Elite 4B is really a creative and new take on the griddle. From the squeegee that sits over the top of the grease bucket to clean your griddle tools, to having the ability to control up to 8 different zones of heating, it's changing the game from what we've seen to date. If you want to be on the front edge of griddle technology, it's a close call between the Halo and the Loco, but they're both pushing the boundary forward, and that's a great thing for us as consumers. The Traeger Flat Rock truly surprised me when I lit it up for the first time. The Flat Rock is the first griddle that I had used that wasn't fazed by the wind. With the recessed griddle top, less than ideal weather conditions aren't a problem for the Flat Rock. The shelves on this griddle are absolutely massive, and that's why it's Melissa's favorite. Cooking on a flat top means that you're going to have a ton of accessories and ingredients, and those need to go somewhere. The Flat Rock has more storage space on the side shelves than any other griddle I've ever worked with. It's one of the things that causes me to choose the Flat Rock to cook on when I have many options. So here's the winners according to Melissa and I as a result of our testing. I'm going to call the Weber 36-inch griddle the best budget griddle in this test. I think it's a steal for what you get for the price. The Grilla Grills Primate wins for the best combo grill and griddle since it's a full gas grill and a full gas griddle. I'd easily take this one over those 2 lid combo grills that are out on the market in a heartbeat. If you want 2 cookers in one body, the Primate is the horse you want to ride. The Loco 36-inch griddle we're going to call the most innovative because it's doing something I haven't seen on any other griddle by giving exact temperature readings and controlling the burners to keep it right where you set it. It's a tech marvel to me, and I think it deserves an award. The best portable griddle, I'm really split on this. I've used the Pit Boss Ultimate Liftoff 3-burner for a year now as my portable griddle, and it's pretty easy to move around, but I wish it was bigger. The Halo Elite 4E is also portable, and it is bigger, so I'm at the point where I'm taking the Halo with me when I have cooks at church or local events that we're a part of. So here's what I'll say. If you want easier to move and less space is fine with you, go for the Pit Boss. If you want the most space you can get in a portable flat top grill and you have another strong person to help you carry it, then go for the Halo. I use them both when I travel, and I choose the one I take based on the size of the crowd I'm cooking for. The Blackstone 36-inch griddle with air fryers is quite simply the best high-end griddle in the bunch. It has all the equipment you could want in a griddle and even more. So if you want the outdoor kitchen experience without the outdoor kitchen, then the Blackstone is a great fit. It's the griddle I'd put on the back patio, lock the wheels, never move it, and fill the drawers until they were overflowing with egg rings and spatulas, burger presses, and more. It'll give you the outdoor kitchen experience without the incredible amount of work. The best overall griddle for me is going to be the Traeger Flat Rock. I know I'm going to catch some hate for this, but it's the griddle that I chose to light up out of the group whenever I had a choice. I could pick any of them to use, and they're all sitting out here on my patio, and when we're not filming, I've gravitated towards the Traeger. I don't have to worry about the weather, there's tons of space to set stuff on when I'm cooking. It just checks the boxes for what I'm looking for. I haven't even gotten the propane sensor to work or had any of the pop and lock accessories to try, and I still like to use this one. Maybe that's messed up, but that's the way I see it. So, what did I get wrong? I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. Which brand did I leave out that you were dying to see included? Even though we tested 8 griddles, I'm sure there's some that we left out that you wanted to see. So drop me a comment and let us know, and we'll see if we can get that in some upcoming content. Melissa has done a marvelous job curating a list of links for you below to take you to the best prices we know of for these griddles and the most popular accessories. So check out the description for all of those goodies. Now, if you want to know what our favorite burger smasher is or spatula, that's all down there too. She's awesome at getting all of that squared away for you guys, so take advantage of it. As always, if you're ever looking for the best barbecue gear, check out the shop page at thebarbecuelab.com/shop, and you can find our recommendations 24/7 that have come as a result of testing the best in outdoor cooking. From the gloves we use to knives, pans, and grill tools, it's all there for you no matter the season. Now, if you're into outdoor cooking, there's no better time to hit that button than right now, since you've found your people. For the best gear reviews, recipes, and cooking techniques, we'd love to have you join us. I'm David Gafford from the Barbecue Lab, and I can't wait to see you next time.